Hello, it's Sonia here at The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today it's Tuesday, and that means it's Tunisian Tuesday. So as you can see, I already have something going on here, and today what we're going to do is this is actually going to be for another video as well. I'm making a hat, but I'm using a technique, so I wanted to go over the technique, and I do have some projects. So I do have at least one video that goes over this technique, but I wanted to go over it again, and we are doing short rows. So this is going to be a bucket hat, and we're going to incorporate some short rows. So I'm also making the video for the hat at the same time. We're kind of, trying to multitask here, but I thought I would go in depth with these short rows. So as you can see, I've already got one row worked, and now I'm going to work my second row, and I am switching colors. Now you don't have to do that, but for the pattern I want to switch colors because I want to use up as much yarn as I can, as I have lots of just little bits of yarn. So I am ready for my row 2, and we are going to be starting the short rows for row 2. So this is my hat, and this part is going to be the bottom of the hat, and this is going to be the crown of the hat. I know it doesn't look like it yet, but it will. So I'm going to be doing some short rows at the bottom of the hat and at the top. So short rows can really come in handy either with Tunisian crochet or regular crochet, knitting. It helps with working shaping. So because I'm making a bucket hat, when you see bucket hats, the brim of the hat is usually wider, so it kind of like shades the face a little bit. So I want to create short rows to add width at the bottom of the hat. And also I'm going to be doing short rows at the top because obviously we want to get this into a hat shape. So the short rows are going to also help with that. The other project that I showed using short rows actually works in a circle. It's a hot pad, so you can do a lot with short rows. And I know there sometimes can be a little bit of a mystery with short rows, but really it's not difficult. And I like to do short rows with just using Tunisian simple stitch, which is what we have here, but you certainly could incorporate it using other Tunisian stitches as well. But we're using simple stitch. So for what I'm going to do is this is going to be my row 2, but because we're doing short rows at the bottom, I'm going to call it row 2.A and 2.B. So it'll make sense in a bit. So just bear with me. So we're going to work the bottom of the hat. So what I'm going to do is I'm inserting my hook in that first stitch, working Tunisian simple stitch, and I'm just going to pull up my loop like normal. And I am going to be switching colors, so this is going to be my main color here, so we're not cutting this guy. And I'm going to pull up loops until I have 12 loops. So this is my forward pass of my row 2.A. So the whole thing is actually going to be row 2, but there's extra parts with row 2, so that's why we're calling it 2.A. So I have 3 loops in my hook. I want to pull up until I have 12. So I have 8, 9, 10, 11, and there is row 12, or no, not row 12, there is stitch 12. So I have 12 loops on my hook. So normally when you're doing Tunisian, you would continue working down the row, but we're not going to do that. As I said before, we want to create some extra width at the bottom of our hat so it looks like a bucket shape. So what I'm going to do is, again, it's row 2.A, but the whole thing is going to be row 2. So bear with me here. So to complete part of row 2.A, we're going to work these stitches off. So normally when working stitches off, you yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row for your return pass. But because we're doing short rows, we are going to yarn over and pull through 2 right away. And it's going to kind of, so let's finish pulling through 2 and I'll show you why we do that. Okay, so I've pulled off those loops, so I wanted to just kind of explain why we pulled through 2. So as you can see, let me grab a little pointer. It kind of gives it a little bit of a slant down here, and that's kind of what we want because we don't want it to be, we want this to have width, but you do want it to be a little bit more gradual. So pulling through the 2 kind of helps to achieve that when you're doing the short rows. So now that was 2-point A. That of row 2. So now we're going to do 2-point B, and this is going to be the rest of row 2. So I'm still going to be using this color here, the yellow. I will switch to the purple again. So to begin row 2-point B, I'm just going to insert my hook in Tunisian simple in that first stitch, and I'm going to continue to pull up loops. Okay, so we can see that loop there. So let's see how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So here's 11. So now I want to continue across my row. So you're probably wondering, where do I work next? So there's our 11th stitch. We're going to work right here. So don't overthink it. You just kind of, it kind of is a little slant. So there it is right there. So that would be stitch 12. So I'm just going in that stitch, pulling up a loop, and I'm going to continue to work across. So this is my row 2-point B, and I have 40 stitches. When I worked my row 1, I chained 40 and I worked 40 stitches. But as I said before, we are doing short rows on both ends, so I actually do not want to put 40 stitches on my hook. I'm going to only work 39, so we're going to do one less, just like we did with the 12 in the beginning, because we want to also work the crown of the hat as well. Okay, so I'm at the end of my row. So I actually have 2 stitches left. So I have this stitch here. So let me get that knitting needle. So here is the second to the last stitch. And then usually we work, it looks like a chain here, and we work in the center of that chain. Well, we're not going to do that. We're just going to work in that second to the last stitch, and we're going to leave that chain stitch alone. So now I only have 39 loops on my hook. So we're creating the short row on the end. And so just like we did here at the bottom to do our return pass, we're going to yarn over, pull through 2 instead of 1 like we normally do. And we're just going to continue . Okay, so I have 2 stitches left. I'm going to pick up that purple. So there it is. Drop the yellow. I'm going to finish off with the purple. I'm just watching my tension. And now I'm ready for row 3. So now you can see a little more clearly. We have row 1 here in the purple, row 2, so this is 2 point A, and then also row 2, 2 point B, and then it continues across like that. And now we're ready for row 3. All right, so let's begin row 3, and we're just going to pull up loops until we have 38 loops on our hook. So we're going to do one less. We're not going to do a short row at the end here because I don't want to widen this up too much. I guess if you really wanted a large brim of your hat, then you could do more short rows at the bottom, but I don't want it to be like crazy. I just wanted a regular, you know, simple bucket hat shape. So, and again, I don't have a lot of yarn to do that either, so. So I'm getting to the end of my row 3 for my forward pass. I just have one more stitch there. And so now you can see, oops, yeah, stay on the hook there. So we're getting a nice little slant is what we want there. So I have 38 loops on my hook. So we started off with 40, 39, 38. So don't overthink it. All right, so now we need to work these off. So we're going to yarn over, pull through 2 right from the start all the way across. Okay, so I finished up row 12. So now we can really see the wedge part here. So this is our first wedge of our hat, and you can see how it's slightly wider at the end here. So this is the brim of the hat. So now we are going to work row 13, and we need to put back on 40 stitches like we have for row 1. So this is working our short rows again. So we're going to work all the way down all these short rows, and that's going to help start giving that curved look so it looks more hat-like, because it really doesn't right now. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start pulling up loops, working Tunisian simple. Okay, so here we go. We currently have 28 loops on our hook, but we want to put 40 back on. So what we're going to do is, like I said before, we're going to work down, and we're going to work in all these loops. So what you're going to want to work in is, so I'm going to work in this loop right here, and this one right here, all the way down until we get to our very first row, and I'll show you how we're going to work in there. So let's pull up that loop. So this is stitch 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 'So this is stitch 39. So now we have what looks like a chain in the beginning. So we are going to insert our hook through that chain, and it got tight, so there we go, in the center of that chain, and we're going to pull through. And now we have all of our 40 loops back on there. I know they're a little crunched on the shorter hook, but that's okay. Alright, so now we are going to work these loops off. So we're going to, when you work in the chain, you're going to work it off where you're going to yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row, like normal Tunisian crochet. Okay, so we have completed row 13. So now you can see how we've worked all the way down. So what you're going to want to do for the rest of your hat is you're actually going to be repeating rows 2 through 13 until you have enough wedges so that we can then stitch it to make it look like a hat. So that is how we do short rows with Tunisian crochet, and you can definitely see them here. And they can be used for a variety of projects. We're just using it to make a hat for this pattern. And the hat pattern should go out not this week, but next week. Hopefully I'll get it done. And you know, it's interesting. I think it's going to be really fun. I mean, again, it's a summer hat, you know. Summer is supposed to be fun. But I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.